Welcome. It's Dr. Sarah Larson. And you're listening to and watching the Mystery School teachings within Miracle Makers Academy. We do this class and this course to allow you to have access to the incredible wisdom that God, Source, Universe, our grandmothers, the ancient world has provided for us. There's a core belief within Miracle Makers. This belief is, I am not your guru. I am not your friend. I am not your enemy. I am you, and you are loved. And love, self-love, this is self-love. Everything grows with attention and expands with love. Miracle Makers have three core principles: heal, stay still long enough, sort of a command on your body, so the divine spark that connects you to all of life is able to have access to all of your body. That part, heal, being able to embody all that you're here to do is quite a gift. Feel, that aspect of really being able to feel with your 365 senses. There's a lot of science that shows, even Wikipedia lists that you have more than just the 5 or 6 senses. They list out 22. The ancient world lists out 365. I've got our dear friend, Helen Samuels, Miracle Maker. She's traveled the world as an eco-activist, and as well as being able to see the unseen, see and feel. And now today, we're going to teach you, convey to you, deliver this energy to you that if we can do it, if you can do it, and anything that you've seen anyone do, one of the core things to really feel and know that you can do this too. The last part, the third part, is thrive. Once your miracle frequency is turned on, you are both the drop in the ocean as well as the whole ocean. Rumi says, we mistakenly think we're just the drop when we are the whole ocean. And all of the ocean, all of the cosmos, all of life wants you to thrive. And once you're in there feeling and knowing yourself and healed and whole, you can shift, transform, make miracles for yourself and for the community that you love and serve. And so we're so glad that you're here. Helen, I am so excited. I saw some of your interview with the near-death experiences on exploring the human journey. It's so beautiful. There's so much I can share about you. There was so much shared about your family and your mom.
I know.
I
told him I'm coming out of the closet. It's the first time I even do something like
right.
That.
So Helen works with governments, with rewriting the environmental laws and advocating for Earth and all of the elements to be recognized and seen. She's been working.
One thing, I don't work with governments. I bring the best deal for the Earth to the government.
You bring the best, right? It's very subtle energy, but it's really important to say.
Yeah, yes. Because I don't work with them. We enlighten them enough to acknowledge that Earth is alive.
Earth is alive.
That it's a we.
And
also,
it's a
it's
we.
Not just me.
Right. It's so beautiful because it's always a we.
Yes.
It's always.
Just take the me, flip it over to we.
Right. When you take the I into we, you get wellness. You take I from illness. Oh. You add the we, you get wellness. It's proven over and over again. As soon as you're in service to the we, illness tends to go away, at least a third of it, just from being in service, a third from the placebo effect. So 2/3 of illness can really, your connection to community, be solved from being in service. And they say the placebo, right? Belief, knowing that that can heal. So what would you really like to cover today? in this mystery school teaching masterclass about the work that you're doing. The first time I interviewed you or we worked together was the first time you shared that you saw and spoke to angels on Miracle Makers TV out of Sunset Gower Studios. All of the listeners and all of just such profound feedback for what a difference it made to have someone of your caliber talking about the angelic realm and commanding the angels to command your body, asking the angels to command, to use you as a tool.
Yeah.
So that was the first interview. This is the second big one with exploring the human journey, where you really dive into the near-death experiences. What would you like to share today?
What I would like to share today is, having lived in Mexico since I was 5,
yes,
I grew up not with the culture of divine mentality here.
Yes.
I grew up with the culture of the divine mentality as seen from the Americas.
Yes.
So it's all the same, but it's expressed in a different manner. And I'd like to talk about the spirituality of the elders and the honoring of Mother Earth and the singing to the rivers and just heal them. And I'd love to bring in at least Central America, Mexico.
Yes.
And the incredible cultures for healing, cultures for commuting to Great Spirit, cultures for the knowingness that we are all one. The Mayans say you are me,
and I am you.
And I am you.
You are me, I am you, the Mayans, right? 5,000 plus year old philosophy, the Incas.
Yes.
It's so interesting because we were in our backyard here. We were talking about the fruits. And many of the fruits planted in our backyard are from Eastern Europe, Middle East, Asia, from peaches and all of these cultures. And we talked about people walking across the straits to walk across the earth and gain this intelligence. There was a knowing of where to go. There was an understanding of meridians, of energy, of paths, of oneness. Much of that was lost in the North America area. Much of it is coming back and returning.
Been lost or extinguished purposely.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
So if you've got 365 senses, and the Native Americans knew this, or the indigenous still talk about this, and have you smell fruit as a baby to know which is ripe and which one would make a good seed and which one is going to be sweet. And so you have this extra sense of smell. You have connection to the environment. Starting at 5 years old, you started learning that connection.
Right, and I don't claim to be an elder of the place because actually there's so many. In Mexico, they have 68 languages.
Mexico.
Full languages.
68. And the more languages that you speak, the more access you have to the invisible realm and the more possibility of tasting colors, feeling music, experiencing an integration of your brain. Another way to say that is the more languages you speak, the more problem-solving abilities you have.
Yes.
More resourceful you are, because your language limits what you believe and what you can experience.
That is what exactly. There are no words in English for many of the miraculous healings and things that happen down in the Central Mesoamerica. There's no words. You know what I mean? Like how to explain something.
Yes, and words are important. Your left brain understands in words. Your right brain understands in energy. Mm-hmm. And you might experience the energy of something and not have the words for it. And your perception is limited by the words, by your ability to be either informed or affected. And so I'd love for you to share the story of commanding the angels to use your body.
Okay, well, that was when I was a young girl. I lived in
the kitty. And I'm going to have you hold this just for a second.
Okay.
Go right behind you.
Okay, well, I lived in a country that was mostly Catholic, and but my mom was an atheist, and she decided that I could choose anything I want, and any path I wanted. My dad thought it was some kind of child abuse to impose a religion on children before they even knew how to read or find out about another one. So I pretty much had to figure out myself what I was thinking and doing. So what I'd like to talk about is that there's a deep relationship, just like the indigenous nations in northern the Northern Americas. You see, don't forget, people say that I live in America. Well, the Mexicans live in America too, because it's North America, and the others live in South America. Everybody lives in America, but to have a love for the land, to have a love for the earth, as knowing it as your mother, because that's where you came from. That's the whole thing right there. Because if it's only you didn't come from the sky, all of a sudden you came from earth, you were built from earth.
So
your spirit is the divine.
Yes,
that's the divine. But your body is actually a child of earth,
the clay.
Yeah, and so loving it, loving earth, loving the being grateful, doing all the songs, singing to the river, singing to the mountains, giving offerings, giving flowers. There's a beautiful offering that they have in the spring in the volcanoes where they tapestry the whole road with flowers for the young virgin girls that are around 12 to 13 when they reach their 13th year. You know, they get to walk on that road of petals, you know.
To know them a rite of passage.
Yes, and they're beautiful rites of passage that are related to earth and related to life, you know, and having that respect. I think a lot of the troubles we're having with the environment and everything is that there's a loss of respect, you know, and if you look at every flower as a complete divine unit, every snowflake, and like Masaru Emoto said,
yes,
you know, if those snowflakes, if that water is not happy, it's broken. So our energy is very powerful towards water, very powerful.
And we know that water has perfect memory. And
exactly.
The memory of love, when we focus our energy of love, forms a beautiful crystal. The memory of dis-ease or harm, when that is what you're projecting towards water, that's what's remembered and crystallized in that water. You are 2/3, 70% most of the time, anywhere up to 90% water. And so what you are actively holding as a vibration, as a frequency, as a thought, is what happens in your body. So it's quite incredible. This is Max. Max, our little Sekhmet, wanted to be with you guys here in class. Sekhmet is an ancient Egyptian.
Yes.
All of the indigenous studied energy and understood energy. And so they would label each of the energies. They would label it so beautifully. Completely. And the repetition of a particular energy showing up became the title of a grandmother or a grandfather or an element or an understanding so that they could build on it. And one of my favorite thoughts and knowings is all creation builds on what came before. There is this beautiful space that we're in, and when you get that you are energy, And that energy has a divine spark. And there are over and over again repeated patterns that are happening in your life and repeated communications that are happening in your life. I'm going to say that another way. The invisible is trying to make itself visible in your life, and it shows up in repeated patterns. And for myself, for you, I know we both had, thank you, we both had childhood friends. We had invisible friends that we played with.
Definitely.
And it's really important. My grandmother and my parents did not tell me, oh, don't talk to the invisible world. They didn't, it was, I don't know if it was encouraged so much as just allowed, because their attention was somewhere else. And when I did start to speak to them, it wasn't weird for my grandmother for me to talk about these stories and to have, when we had words for them in Sanskrit, in Hindi, in Urdu, in Farsi. There's words for these beautiful angels, these beautiful fairies, these beautiful. I'd love for you to share your stories around the communication. I love the one with Seema.
Well, that was the Seema. When I was young, I had nothing to do with indigenous people because my parents were intellectuals. It's a whole other world, you know. And it was wartime, and it was a different world. But my people I talked to were a beautiful, incredible young man that, as I grew older, became a wise man.
Yes.
Strangely, he grew with me. He wasn't such a young one later.
Yes.
You know, and he had white tanned white clothing guards. And he would be giving me advices, different types of advice and stuff like that, up to the point that when at one point I had a near-death experience or death experience. I actually feel that that one I really died because I was gone completely. I highly recommend it though.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to the next one.
The ancient Egyptians would put themselves in near-death experiences, as well as the quest. Right?
The Sapo.
The Sapo quest is a near-death experience.
Exactly.
That you communicate with the unseen world to survive. But go ahead with your story.
So anyway,
you had this invisible friend.
Yeah. So
to others that you saw that and connected with, and he aged with you.
Yeah, he's the only one that aged with me.
Beautiful.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And he would really protect me. I would I'd have some kind of problem that really, you know, was happening to me, and I'd just say Seema, and I'd get this energy like, I'm okay, I'm strong, I'm protected. They got my back. Forget it. I'm going forward. You know, I've had, you know, because I worked with gangs many years and stuff, and sometimes I'd be in sort of perilous situations, and Seema would be right next to me. So imagined or not, he was always there, and for me it was always real and has been. But at this one time, I died and I went to the other side, and I was sort of in a like this, sitting like this, and everything was pretty light. And he was there, but there was also angels there.
Yes.
And there's others. And I for a moment I said, which way do I go? You know, like, do I go back? Do I go forward? And they all started laughing at me. Like, what are we gonna do with you? There's no place to go. There's only a place to be.
Yes.
There's no place to go. Everybody's saying they're gonna go here, they're gonna heaven. There's no place to go. There's only a place to be. Be in the place of love.
Be in the place of love.
That's the only place you can be.
And it's an extraordinary gift to give yourself. That's the whole command of heal. be in the place of love, a holy.
Don't go to it. Don't run
Right.
from it. Just be in the place of love.
Be in the place of love. And if you're feeling deeply for a past emotion or feeling deeply for something coming in the future, to really be in love means to fully trust the invisible world, the visible known parts of yourself. I love this part. How do you know that miracles occur? You start becoming a miracle for other people. How do you know there's unconditional love in the world? You become the unconditional love. You choose the people that you say, I'm going to love this person unconditionally, no matter what happens. You choose that. And then, of course, there'll come times when you'll have to really do your inner work to be able to stay in that elevated frequency. But the more stable, staying able you create around yourself, these inner guiding GPS system tools. So there's nowhere to go. There's no heaven to get to. There's no hell to escape. There's no tomorrow to wake up to and succeed in. If you are breathing, you're successful. And there will come a time that this vessel won't be available to you. And for me, when I had, and I had several near-death experiences, I couldn't count them. I will probably, right? I will probably, the thing that I knew from each one of them is the choice to come back was always mine.
Exactly.
The choice was always mine.
Exactly.
And as I grew up, I understood what choices I was making. There were different timelines that I could be on, but each person that I was to meet was within all of the timelines. I want to say that another way because it's so important to fully get this. I know each person that I meet is a divine assignment, a divine knowing of there's something to be done between us. And I didn't always recognize this to the fullest degree that I do now. It continues to grow in my ability to know this. I wound up at the Oscars, and I've shared the story in other miracle making classes and master classes where I was at the Oscars. And in that moment, I was transported into being able to remember the near-death experience. And what it's like to have near-death experience is all of your 365 senses being turned on. You're one with everything.
Everything, even the planets.
Even the planets. So 360 around you. 2 going up, 2 real incredible senses of knowing what's happening in the entire cosmos, to the furthest end, to what our central sun is dragging, right? We are with the central sun going through these stellar winds of the cosmos, moving towards the edge. The edge is ever expanding. So those senses, like being that, plus the 2 that are connected to the earth, 365, all accessed from your heart and accessed from your ability to be in your body, heal, like still, no matter what's happening out there, you're inside your body commanding the energy of even more love and miracles coming through your frequency. And you've got 4 billion bits of information coming to you. So in the near-death experience, you can understand simultaneously all 4 billion bits of information, because all of you is connected and understanding with those 360 senses.
And you're not making a decision based on one of those, because it's a decision of your
Yes.
allness is deciding.
Your allness is deciding, and your vantage point. So here I am at the Oscars, and I'm having this deja vu experience, right? This incredible deja vu experience. And I'm like, oh my God, Oprah Winfrey, Stedman are right there, right? They're right there. They're so beautiful. They were on, that was the time we got on the first floor, and it was just brilliant and beautiful. But I knew that if I was not as brave as I had been, I might have been the server person, bringing us popcorn, bringing and making sure the seats were filled. I also caught that if I had been more brave, I would have been on the stage as a presenter. And I could see the whole timeline of where I chose that path. Right, in college, the decisions I would have made. And I remembered it back to the point of origin in near-death experience, where I decided, yes, I will go back. And for me, it was really this desire to be of service, that I will go back if I can be of service, if I can complete this, if the privilege of being in this body fully can be realized, is what had me come back every time. It's so beautiful to be in your 365 senses. And as I've gone to Sicily, led groups there, as I've gone to Egypt and South America, so many West Indies, and more of those senses have come online. There's more of the 4
There's
billion.
so much more.
So much more of the 4 billion bits to be able to be enjoyed and to be consumed in a manner that elevates the energy, the way it's organized. In other words, you are constantly receiving energy. You're constantly consuming it based on your perception. And then you're feeding it back to the environment based on how brave you are being moment by moment. And when Helen trusted me with her first, because it's so important that established, amazing healers. I see you as a philanthropist, a humanitarian, helping quite a few groups, Native and Indigenous in so many regions, for you to come forward and say, there is this whole invisible world that exists.
It was like coming out of the closet.
Right.
Yeah. I wanted to say one thing about love that I learned.
Yes.
We all think if he would love me, or if I could only get love.
Yes.
And I wish somebody would love me. Love doesn't come from out in.
Yes.
Love comes when you're doing something beautiful to somebody else, for somebody else. You want to make them happy. You want to go out of your way to help them. You want to take care of them. You want to guide them. You see the potential. That's when you feel love. When it's coming in from the inside out is when you feel, not when you want it to come in.
Right. It's so beautiful. It is because love is one of the highest frequencies that we can bestow. When a child is just being itself, we love that child so much, just laying there in its crib, and it's emanating out. It's not doing anything for love. It's just being love. And so we love it, and we grow it, and we expand it.
And they love themselves when they're happy.
And they love themselves, and they express their needs. And they're not judging themselves at any point if they're expressing a need to get met. At some point, we began separating ourselves and judging ourselves based on whether we could get a core need inside ourselves met. It's such an interesting,
right.
So then we dim, I dim our self-love light. Then everywhere we go out in the world, we get mirrored, not enough self-love.
I'll tell you
not
one
enough.
little thing.
Yeah.
one time I had this event with all these gang members I'd been working with, and they ended up actually getting their prizes in the United Nations for their projects and stuff. But we made this big event, and this mother came up to me, and she says, "Oh, I'm so thankful you saved my son. You know, people used to come and have bullets in our house, and he'd come home with blood." And I said, "I don't save people. That's not my job.
Yeah.
That's goes Sister Teresa. That's not me. All I did was reflect to him his nobility.
Yes.
That's all I did. He did everything else.
Yes.
No one in his whole life had reflected his nobility to him. He didn't even have the slightest idea he had it until he saw it reflected from me."
That's so profound. And so you are carrying this miracle frequency. How do you trust the miracle frequency, and how does more of the invisible world make itself visible to you? Right? You show up with gang members and you reflect within them, you remind them of who they actually are. And I love this tribe in Kenya. Whenever someone does something wrong, right? Whenever someone does something wrong, the tribe takes that person, puts them in the center of town, makes sure all of their needs are met, and people throughout the town come and talk to him and or her or the child and remind them of every good thing that they've done or every good thing that they're connected to for at least 2 days. They're nurtured because there's a core word or a belief that the words that this person behaved badly or did not behave good or God-like, right? God good, add an extra O. Mm-hmm. That good is to really bring forward that you're really good. You're really, really good. And we as a defense mechanism learned to hide our goodness, hide our light, hide the spark, because somehow someone saw that spark or that passion or that whatever it was, and for a moment labeled it something that wasn't accurate. When it got labeled inaccurately, the energy body, your energy brain, that part of you said, somehow I've got to figure out the way for this to come out in a blessed way, in a way that contributes, that divine spark. So you might have taken your permission away. You might be waiting for a man to give you the permission. I know as an Asian woman, I try so hard not to make it a subtle energy thing anymore, to be seeking approval or permission from my husband. But I almost was like, oh, my husband gave me permission to stay home to clean the house while he's off camping with the kids. I didn't even want to go. I'm not a camper. Like, I love glamping or like Burning Man type camping, or camping with a creative purpose and intention to give, like third world.
You should come to our vision council.
Right.
That's camping.
That's
for good stuff.
For good stuff. Like when you camp in the third world, right? When you're in these villages, you're drinking out of green water wells,
no, when we go out, we go 6 months before, and we start planting the organic stuff.
Yes.
And we check the water, what it is, and
we
teach them how to make it better.
This is it. And the journeys, and we're doing journeys with eco habitat and
mostly Vision Councils, Guardians of Earth.
Vision Councils, Guardians of Earth. They plan it. For me, as a non-government organization doctor, we would go into villages where doctors had not been before.
Yeah.
Right.
I've done that one too.
Right. And I
that one
so
too. Totally.
love I so love that you can go before and plant the seeds and build
well,
the
we
water.
talk to them. Are
Yeah.
you interested in this? We see that you have something
Yes.
you can make better, like the bacalar, the
Yes.
you know,
Oh, it's so
the
beautiful.
lagoon, you know, to help out. So we bring experts, but we bring music, we bring the elders, we bring the prayers, we bring the children's council.
Yes.
So,
And what's beautiful is on each one of those journeys, you wind up getting so much from them, from this essence of, even though you bring supplies and you bring resources and you bring, but what you get back.
oh, it's fantastic.
In the sense of what it does for your own personal ability to see, connect, communicate, go to the next level of prayer and frequency and joy for the earth is quite extraordinary.
And in our council, we have people from the Netherlands, from the Basque countries, Germany, from South America, Colombia, from the north, from the south, the Native Americans, the Hopis. So it's really a big family of the earth working together. And we've already managed to have the river at Toyac be declared that it's alive.
Yes.
So it can be cleaned. Mexico City, they made a law that the earth is alive, ergo she has rights. So you can't just go digging here and doing that. And now they have to ask permission if they want to dig in the causeway. So I mean, little by little,
it's happening
through dance and song and prayer. You know, we're doing all that.
It's coming in. What's another magical story of yours? Like just something you've shared about meeting, having been ill and being sent back here, right? Coming back to Earth.
I'll share one story.
Yes.
It's okay. One time I died. One of my times that I died.
Yes.
Okay.
One of the times that Helen died.
Yeah, I was in the area of the lower part of Cancun. It was not developed yet. No, there was like
there was no
nothing.
Atlantis.
No,
right?
no. This is like halfway down, like 2 hours away. You know, Ishkaret.
Yeah,
now they have
so
these
beautiful.
dolphins there. But I ended up. I had just finished a production of 36 commercials or something like that, and I was just exhausted. So I was with the cameraman and the director and my daughter and whatever. So I go and I go into the jungle, but it was all coral, so it was really hard for me. My feet are starting to bleed. So I said, okay, I'll swim around, but I'm a dog paddler. Well, it ended up that I was being taken away by a riptide.
Wow.
And I went. There's a little inlet like that, and I was on the other side, and I was going out to Cuba. It was okay. So by then I learned just at this stage, what am I fighting?
Yeah.
Whatever. And then I see these two elders. Now that was my first face-to-face with indigenous nations, like talking to me.
Yes.
And that was in the spirit world.
Right. I love the indigenous that come. Usually they come from me, and they're amazing.
And two elder women,
yes,
white. One had quetzal feathers, the most beautiful sacred feathers, going like this, and the other one had medicine branches. They come right to my face, and they say, "Stop! Remember the promise. Remember the promise. Go back. Go back." And all of a sudden, I'm up and above already. I have some air.
Yeah.
There's no riptide.
Yeah.
And now the tides are sort of pushing me over to the other place. I get thrown against. I have all these little scars because I got thrown against the coral. But they pull me out, and there's a conch, a beautiful conch shell.
Wow.
You've never heard one. The one I have.
I haven't heard that one. Yes.
Ooh. That one makes you go back to your ancestral. Everything, you just, every cell just vibrates. It's a call, okay? So I grabbed it, and then I ended up in the United States, shortly after, and I shaved it and everything. And the first time I played it was like, I
Oh my gosh. Wow.
It's so long and so deep. And so anyway, I said, okay, this is interesting.
So I just want to summarize this before, just so everyone catches this. It's so amazing. If you go into sweat lodges and do sweat ceremonies, quite often that's where you get the sense of seeing the Native Americans come and appear right before your face. And they come, they zoom in, they zoom in, and so they're right there. And so in this space of the ocean, being stuck and being worn completely, they came to you and they
actually saved my life.
They saved your life, and that extraordinary. Then there was this conch, this shell that is a gift from the unseen world.
Because when they brought me out,
yes,
I was right there on the floor.
It was on the
floor. And I thought I was born out of it.
Being born out of it. And so really fully understanding the full extent of the story, the spirit world has a mental form, has an energy and motion form, and represents itself in physical form as well. I'm not wearing any of the rings that have come out of the invisible world as acknowledgement of connection to them. A lot of my friends, my brother Swaharan has quite a collection. I've got quite a collection of things that materialize like this conch shell, and every time it's played, it's an occasion.
It's not like any other. It's in the harmonic convergence. I played it during the Joshua tree, and everybody all through the valley didn't know it was me. I was up in the hill. The whole valley said, and then this conch came just when the stars were matching, and we all knew that we were part of this. Crazy.
It's so beautiful. I'm going to stop the recording here and start it again for the harmonic convergence.
Wait, I just want to finish this. Just one little thing about that.
Yes.
Because after that, I ended up in the States, and I ended up meeting an elder, like 2 months later.
Yes.
And then he asked me to help him do the Great Mayan initiation in Mexico.
Incredible.
And and when I met him at the airport, he says, "So good to see you again."
Come on. Wise of you to come back as a white woman.
Oh yeah, so wise. I forgot that part. That's what he said.
Yes, so wise of you to come back as a white woman.
Yeah, I just want to close that.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
But you can see it on the internet. It's the Great Mayan Initiation 2013.
We'll have to go. We'll put that in the links when we put this up in social media. Yeah, we'll put that in the links. We're gonna. I'm gonna stop the recording here so it's easy to have the first part. And during this first part, we really started introducing the invisible world. We started to really introduce who Helen is. But as you can hear, she is quite fascinating in so many stories. She had a pivotal part in the convergence, in the harmonic convergence. And so we're going to dive into that story next. What we want you to take away from this first part is love. Love as deeply and as generously as you can. It all comes from the inside. From you out. If the person you're sitting with, you can find some way to see the love in them, you will call out the nobility in them. And quite often we get stuck with the people closest to us, seeing them in a fixed way. If you change, and if you approach the people that you see at work, everywhere, over and over again, with this formula of saying, I'm gonna see them through the eyes of love. I'm gonna see them generously. I'm gonna try and make them feel good in my presence. No matter how awful or unloved or hurt that they've been in the past, they will come forward with a more noble
and trust you
and
feel like they can open their flower.
And you yourself will know that there's a miracle frequency because you're the one creating it. You're creating the miracle vibe. You're creating the miracle frequency, vibration, tribe energy, family around you. And it's a muscle, right? Just like the muscle to lift heavy weights, just like the muscle to have patience in traffic or whatever you need patience for, this ability to see people through the lens of love, perception of love, and to really bring out generously the part of them, the other, that would want to shine. This is the creation of unconditional love. It's building that muscle. And then the universe reflects back to you what you are. And the expanded version of that really, really comes through.
Yeah.
So there was a scientist named Dr. Paul MacLean that studied those that meditated and those that were in service. And he found those that were in service and those that meditated and prayed, they had extra lobes in their prefrontal cortex. Those got labeled as angel lobes.
Wow.
And these angel lobes, this was 1950. He was a Yale doctor,
amazing.
Right? And we've now got even more information. Again, it's not out there, but it's so huge because we can't make medicine off of it. We can't profit off of it as easily. And so it's left in those that are studying how to bring out more
medical
of your,
mysteries.
Right, medical mysteries, how to bring out more of you, how to bring you into this frequency, your birthright, your ability to create and see the unseen world. So that's, again, being of service. Getting outside yourself and being able to look at a situation. We've done so much on forgiveness, but that's really the huge work, is being able to catch and hold and carry anything that might have been done to you. You either believe it's all love or it's not. You either believe it's all a miracle, it's all intentional or on purpose, or it's not. So whatever occurred, it's not your fault. It's so important to recognize it showed up in your field based on some form of energy before you not doing the work. And your creativity, if you see the problem, if you see the challenge, you can really step into being able to co-create the solution through just the intention of love and being loving. So the next part, we're going to go into the harmonic convergence.